Tittle, the tale of flowing water. In the heart of the lush valley, where time seemed to slow with the gentle rhythm of nature, a stream carved its path through mossy stones and ancient roots. Its melody, soft and persistent, wove a song that spoke to those who stopped to listen, a tale of life, journey, and connection. The stream was not always as serene as it appeared. It began its life high in the mountains, born from the melting snow under the golden embrace of spring's first sunlight. As the snow whispered its goodbye to winter, it gathered, drop by drop, until it found its voice, cascading down the rocks in jubilant celebration. Who am I? The stream would often wonder. Where do I belong? And so began its journey, flowing through towering forests, open meadows, and quiet villages. Each place left a mark upon it, and in turn, the stream shaped the world around it. As the stream journeyed further down the mountain, it encountered its first companion, a small bird perched on a branch that stretched over the water. The bird dipped its beak into the cool stream and chirped a song of gratitude. "Where are you headed?" asked the bird. "I do not know," replied the stream. "I only know I must flow forward." The bird nodded wisely. "Then flow with purpose, little stream, for every path you carve will one day shape the land." Encouraged by the bird's words, the stream flowed with renewed vigor. It wound its way through the forest, where the towering trees whispered ancient secrets. Their roots drank deeply from the stream's waters, and their leaves shimmered with droplets, catching the sunlight like tiny jewels. "You are a giver of life," said the trees. "Without you, we could not stand so tall." The stream felt pride in its role but also a deep responsibility. "I must continue, for there are more places to reach," it said. The forest gave way to rolling meadows, where flowers of every color danced in the breeze. The stream slowed, taking its time to nourish the blossoms and watch as butterflies flitted from petal to petal. "Stay with us," whispered the flowers. "Your presence makes our colors brighter." "I cannot stay," replied the stream, "but I will leave behind the memory of my touch." Further along its journey, the stream came upon a village. Children laughed and played at its edges, their joy rippling through the water. The villagers drew buckets of water, their hands worn but grateful. "You bring us life and sustenance," said an elder. "Do you know how important you are?" The stream hesitated. It had never thought of itself as important, only as something that must keep moving. As night fell, the stream flowed under the silver gaze of the moon. Stars twinkled above, their light reflecting on the water's surface. The stream felt a quiet sense of wonder, as if it were part of something far greater than itself. "I may be small," it thought, "but my journey touches so many lives. Perhaps that is my purpose." The stream's path grew wider as it merged with other streams, becoming a mighty river. It no longer wondered about its place in the world, for it had learned that its purpose was not just to move forward, but to connect, to nurture, and to leave the world better than it found it. Finally, the river reached the vast ocean, where its waters blended with the endless blue. The stream had completed its journey, yet it was not an end, it was a beginning. For in the ocean, the waters would rise to the sky, becoming clouds that would drift back to the mountains. And there, the cycle would begin again. The tale of flowing water was eternal, a reminder that every journey, no matter how small, is part of a greater story. As the river's waters met the vast embrace of the ocean, it felt both overwhelmed and at peace. The salty waves stretched far beyond the horizon, carrying the echoes of countless rivers and streams from all corners of the earth. "Who are you?" asked the ocean, its deep voice resonating through the waves. "I am a stream, once small and uncertain, now grown and fulfilled," replied the river. "I have given life, carried memories, and shaped the world in my path. But now, I do not know what comes next. The ocean chuckled softly, its surface shimmering under the moonlight. You are no longer just a stream, nor merely a river. You are part of me now, part of something infinite. And yet, your journey is not over. Curious, the river listened. You see, here in the ocean, your waters will mingle with others, blending into the tides and currents. Together, we will travel to distant shores, to lands you could never have reached on your own. You will witness new wonders, carry new stories, and bring life in ways you have not yet imagined. The river pondered these words, feeling both excitement and trepidation. But how will I know who I am, if I am no longer the same? The ocean replied, identity is not lost, little river. It evolves. Just as you began as a droplet in the mountains and became a giver of life to forests, meadows, and villages, so too will you find new purpose here. Embrace the transformation. The river, now part of the ocean, surrendered to the vast currents, allowing itself to be carried by the ebb and flow. Days turned to weeks, and the river's waters found themselves on an incredible journey. It traveled through coral reefs, where vibrant fish and intricate plants swayed with the rhythm of the sea. It flowed into the quiet depths, where mysterious creatures glowed with their own inner light. It joined mighty waves that crashed against rugged cliffs, carving new shapes into the land. One day, the river's waters felt a gentle tug upward. Warm sunlight kissed the ocean's surface, and the river began to rise, transforming into a fine mist. It drifted into the sky, becoming part of a cloud that floated over the world. High above, the river looked down and saw the places it had once traveled the forest. It had nurtured, the meadows it had brightened, the village it had sustained. It also saw new lands it had never known, deserts yearning for rain and mountains waiting to give birth to new streams. The cloud carried the river's essence over the land until, one fateful day, the droplets fell as rain upon a distant peak. The water soaked into the earth, seeping into hidden springs and bubbling forth as a new stream. And so the cycle began anew. This time, the stream flowed with confidence and purpose, knowing that it was part of an eternal story, one of giving, growing, and connecting. It understood that every droplet mattered, every path had meaning, and every journey was a chapter in the greater tale of flowing water. As the fresh stream emerged from the mountain's side, it found itself surrounded by an unfamiliar yet welcoming landscape. The air was crisp, and the ground sparkled with morning dew. The stream trickled down the rocks, eager to explore this new chapter of its life. "Welcome back," whispered the wind, weaving gently through the grasses. The stream felt a sense of recognition in the wind's voice, as if it had been greeted by an old friend. "Have we met before?" it asked, curiously. The wind chuckled softly. "Indeed, little stream. I was the breeze that danced upon your surface as you flowed through the meadows. I carried your scent to distant lands and whispered your story to the clouds. You've always been part of something larger, just as you are now." Reassured by the wind's presence, the stream continued to flow, gathering strength as it joined other tiny trickles, forming a gentle brook. Along its path, it encountered a young sapling, its roots barely clinging to the soil. "You've come just in time," said the sapling. "I was thirsty, and the sun has been relentless." The stream paused, allowing its waters to nourish the sapling's roots. It felt joy in giving life once more, knowing that the sapling would one day grow into a mighty tree that would shelter creatures and sing with the wind. As the days passed, the stream encountered new wonders. It met a family of deer who bent their heads to drink from its cool waters, their soft eyes reflecting gratitude. Birds bathed in its shallows, fluffing their feathers and chirping songs of delight. Each interaction brought the stream a deeper understanding of its purpose. It realized that it was not merely traveling but weaving itself into the fabric of life, leaving behind a legacy in every drop it gave. One fateful evening, the stream reached a quiet lake nestled between emerald hills. The lake's waters shimmered like glass, reflecting the sky's fiery hues as the sun set. "You are young, yet you carry wisdom," said the lake, its voice deep and serene. "Have you found what you seek?" The stream hesitated, pondering the lake's question. "I have traveled far and touched many lives, but I still do not know if I have reached my destination." The lake rippled gently, as if laughing softly. "Destination? There is no end to your journey, dear stream. You are part of a cycle that flows endlessly, shaping the world and being shaped by it. What matters is not where you end, but how you flow." The stream listened intently, feeling a profound truth in the lake's words. As the stream merged with the lake, it paused to admire the stars that began to dot the night sky. It realized that, though it had given much of itself, it had received just as much in return: the wisdom of the wind, the gratitude of the forest, the joy of the meadow, and the peace of the lake. As time passed, the lake's waters began to rise into the sky once more, forming clouds that drifted over the land. And once again, the stream's journey continued, this time as raindrops falling upon a distant mountain, where a new path awaited. Through every cycle, the stream carried with it the stories of the lives it had touched, flowing forward with purpose and humility. It came to understand that its journey was not just its own, but a thread in the vast tapestry of existence, a story written in the language of water, flowing eternally. As the raindrops fell on the distant mountain, they soaked into the earth, collecting in hidden underground springs. The stream, reborn but carrying echoes of its past, emerged into a new world. This time, the land was harsher, with rugged cliffs and sparse vegetation. The stream marveled at how different this terrain was from the lush valleys it had once known. "Why am I here?" it wondered aloud. "This place seems so barren and lifeless." A wise old stone, smoothed by countless years of weathering, responded from beneath the stream's flow. "Even the barren lands need life, little stream. Your waters may seem small, but they are a gift to places like this. Look closely, and you will see the resilience of life." The stream followed the stone's advice and slowed its pace to observe. Tiny green shoots clung to the rocky soil, their leaves shimmering with the droplets it had provided. Lizards darted across the stones, drinking from shallow pools. A cactus stood tall in the distance, its thick skin storing the water that the stream brought. "Life finds a way, even here," the stream realized. "And I am a part of it." Continuing its journey, the stream wound its way through canyons carved by the passage of time. The cliffs whispered stories of ancient floods and winds that had shaped them over millennia. "You are not alone in shaping the world," the cliffs said. "Every force, from the smallest drop to the mightiest storm, leaves its mark." The stream felt a deep connection to these timeless rocks. Though they seemed unchanging, they too were part of the cycle, shaped and reshaped by water, wind, and time. Eventually, the stream emerged from the canyon and joined a river that was larger and swifter than any it had known before. The river welcomed it with a roar of camaraderie. "Together, we will carve new paths and reach greater destinations," the river said, its currents brimming with energy. As the stream became one with the river, it marveled at the power of unity. Alone, it had been small, but now it was part of something vast, capable of moving mountains and nurturing entire ecosystems. The river carried the stream to a bustling delta, where the waters branched into countless channels, each teeming with life. Crabs scuttled across the muddy banks, birds darted overhead, and mangrove roots wove intricate patterns beneath the surface. "This is a place of endings and beginnings," said the mangroves. "Here, rivers meet the sea, and life flourishes in the balance." The stream, now part of the river, felt a profound sense of fulfillment. It had seen the harshness of deserts, the grandeur of mountains, and the richness of deltas. Each place, though different, had taught it a lesson that life is interconnected, and every drop of water plays a role in sustaining it. As the waters merged once more with the vast ocean, the stream felt no fear, only peace. It had come to understand that every journey, whether as a raindrop, a stream, or a river, was part of a greater whole. The ocean's voice, deep and resonant, spoke again: "You are eternal, little stream. Though your form changes, your essence remains. Flow freely, for your story has no end." And so, the stream continued its cycle, rising into the sky, falling upon the earth, and flowing once more. Each journey brought new stories, new connections, and new purposes, weaving an endless tale of flowing water and the life it touched. As the stream's essence rose into the sky and transformed into clouds, it began to drift over unfamiliar lands. From above, it could see the vastness of the world: towering mountains, sprawling deserts, dense forests, and shimmering cities. Each place seemed alive with its own rhythm, and the stream marveled at how diverse life could be. Carried by the winds, the cloud moved towards an arid plain where the ground below cracked and split under the heat of the relentless sun. The stream's droplets gathered in anticipation, knowing their arrival would bring relief to this thirsty land. When the rain finally fell, the parched earth drank deeply, soaking in every drop. Tiny seeds hidden within the soil began to stir, and within days, green shoots pierced the dry crust, reaching for the sky. The stream, now a part of this miraculous transformation, felt a quiet pride. Even in the harshest places, it thought, life waits patiently for a chance to bloom. As time passed, the stream's waters seeped into underground reservoirs, where they joined ancient aquifers that stretched for miles beneath the surface. It flowed silently in the darkness, nourishing roots and feeding springs that would one day rise to the surface again. "You are the unseen lifeblood of the land," whispered the stones surrounding the aquifer. "Though few will notice you here, your presence is vital." The stream understood that its purpose was not always to be seen but to ensure that life could thrive, even in hidden and humble ways. Eventually, the water from the aquifer bubbled up into a small spring at the base of a sacred mountain. Pilgrims from nearby villages came to drink from the spring, offering thanks for the clear, cool water that sustained them. One day, a young child knelt by the spring, cupping her hands to drink. She paused, looking into the rippling water. "Where do you come from?" she asked softly, her reflection wavering as she spoke. The stream's essence, carried within the spring, seemed to answer, "I come from the mountains, the valleys, the forests, and the skies. I have traveled far to be here, and now I am here for you." The child smiled, as though she understood the unspoken words. "Thank you for coming all this way," she whispered, and with that, she continued on her journey. The stream felt a warmth that was deeper than any sunlight. It had touched countless lives in countless forms, sometimes as a trickling brook, other times as a mighty river, and now as a quiet spring. As the seasons changed, the stream's waters began to move again, carried downstream by gravity and time. They joined a vast lake, where they mingled with the reflections of stars and moonlight. Here, the stream paused, not to end, but to rest. It had learned that its journey was infinite, a cycle of transformation and renewal. The lake's surface whispered softly, "You are a story written by nature, an unending tale of connection, growth, and purpose. Flow on, for the world will always need you." And so, the stream continued falling, rising, flowing, and giving forever, part of the eternal dance of water and life. The waters of the lake, calm and reflective, eventually found a new path. A gentle current formed as rain filled the lake to its brim, spilling into a narrow river that stretched toward an unknown horizon. Along its new course, the river passed a bustling village where people were gathered by the banks. They were building a series of water wheels, using the river's power to grind grain and generate energy for their homes. The river watched as they worked tirelessly, their faces lit with hope and determination. "You use my strength to build your future," it thought, "and in return, you honor my flow." One of the villagers, an elder with hands weathered by time, knelt by the river's edge. She murmured a prayer of gratitude, her voice blending with the water's song. "Thank you, great river," she said, "for carrying life to us. Without you, our fields would wither, our wells would run dry, and our dreams would falter." The river swelled with pride, its waters surging as though in reply. It realized that its purpose was not only to connect with nature but also to sustain the lives of those who depended on it. The journey continued, and the river grew broader and deeper, carving its way through vast plains. Along the way, it encountered a herd of wild horses, their manes flying as they galloped alongside its banks. The horses stopped to drink, their movements graceful and free. "You are swift and strong," the river called to them. "As are you," replied the leader of the herd. "We run to new places, just as you flow. But unlike us, you leave a path behind, a gift to those who follow." The river had never thought of its flow as a legacy before. But now it saw how its waters carved valleys, nourished soil, and left a trail of life wherever it went. Eventually, the river reached a great marshland, where its waters slowed and spread out, creating a maze of channels and islands. The marsh was alive with activity. Frogs croaked in hidden pools, herons waded gracefully through the shallows, and dragonflies danced above the reeds. Here, the river felt a profound stillness, as if time itself had paused. The marsh whispered to it, "Even as you flow, there are moments to rest, to nourish, and to simply be." The river lingered, savoring the peace of the marsh before continuing its journey. At last, the river reached the ocean once more, merging with its vast, timeless waters. It had returned to the place where all journeys began and ended. As the river's essence blended with the ocean, it felt the presence of countless other water streams, rivers, and raindrops from all over the world. Together, they flowed in harmony, carried by the tides to distant lands. One day, a small droplet, once part of the river, rose into the sky as vapor. It joined a cloud and drifted toward a distant mountain. As it fell back to earth, it landed in a quiet forest, becoming part of a tiny stream. This stream babbled softly as it flowed over smooth stones, its voice filled with the wisdom of its endless journey. The stream whispered to the forest, to the sky, and to itself, "I am flowing water, eternal and ever-changing. I am the giver and the receiver, the traveler and the guide. My journey is endless, and my purpose is life." And so, the story of the flowing water continued, forever cycling, forever connecting, forever alive. As the droplet landed on the quiet forest floor, it nestled into the moss that blanketed the earth. For a time, it rested there, embraced by the stillness of the forest. The droplet could feel the life all around it, the hum of insects, the gentle rustle of leaves, and the soft breath of animals hidden among the trees. "Your journey pauses here," whispered the moss. "But even in stillness, you are not idle. My roots drink of you, and through me, you sustain this forest." The droplet felt a quiet joy in its stillness, realizing that its purpose was not only in movement but also in nurturing life, even in moments of rest. Days turned to weeks, and a soft rain began to fall. The droplet, now joined by countless others, felt itself drawn into the embrace of a new stream. The stream was young and lively, tumbling over rocks and singing a bright, playful melody as it gathered speed. "Where are we going?" asked the droplet, now part of the rushing water. "Forward," the stream laughed. "Always forward, to new adventures." The stream carried the droplet through the heart of the forest, where sunlight pierced the canopy in golden beams, and the air was alive with birdsong. Deer drank from its banks, their graceful reflections shimmering on the surface. As the stream widened, it flowed into a meadow where wildflowers swayed in a gentle breeze. Butterflies fluttered above the water, their wings painting the air with vibrant colors. The stream felt a deep connection to everything it touched, knowing that it was part of a vast, interconnected web of life. "You are a messenger," said a passing butterfly. "You carry life's stories, weaving them into the land. Without you, the world would grow silent." The stream pondered these words, feeling a new sense of purpose. It realized that its journey was not only about reaching a destination but also about the stories it carried and the lives it touched along the way. As the stream flowed onward, it encountered a great river, its waters wide and powerful. The river welcomed the stream warmly, its deep voice resonating like a song. "Join me," said the river. "Together, we will shape the land and carry the dreams of all we touch." The stream merged with the river, feeling its strength and wisdom. The river spoke of distant lands, of deserts it had crossed and cities it had sustained. "Though our paths are different, we all return to the same ocean," the river said. "Our journeys are the threads of life, weaving together a story that never ends." The river carried the droplet to a delta, where its waters divided into countless channels, each branching into new directions. The delta was a place of abundance, teeming with life. Mangroves stood tall with their roots submerged in the water, and birds filled the air with their cries. Here, the droplet felt a sense of fulfillment, knowing it had reached a place where life flourished because of its journey. But it also knew this was not the end. Carried by the tides, the droplet joined the ocean once more. The vast expanse welcomed it like an old friend, its waves singing of unity and eternity. "You have traveled far," the ocean said, "and yet your journey has just begun. You are part of the cycle, an eternal rhythm that shapes the world." The droplet rose into the sky once again, becoming part of a cloud that drifted toward distant lands. It looked down upon the earth, seeing the rivers, forests, and fields it had once touched. It saw people, animals, and plants thriving, and it felt a deep sense of belonging. The droplet whispered to itself, "I am water, forever flowing, forever giving, and forever alive. My journey is the story of life, and it will never end." And so, the droplet continued its journey, rising and falling, flowing and pausing, forever part of the unending tale of flowing water. As the droplet ascended once more, drawn into the sky by the warm breath of the sun, it joined countless others, becoming part of a vast cloud that drifted over oceans, mountains, and valleys. The cloud, filled with the wisdom of countless journeys, began to whisper stories to the wind. "Where shall we go next?" The droplet wondered, feeling the hum of potential in the air. "To places unknown," the cloud replied. "We are the carriers of change, the bringers of life. Each time we fall, we bring a new beginning." With that, the cloud began its descent, floating over a remote island where the earth was scorched and barren, and the winds carried a sense of thirst. The island seemed to long for rain, its cracked soil yearning for the touch of water. "Will we give this place new life?" the droplet asked. "Indeed," the cloud answered. "Every place we visit, no matter how dry or empty, will be nourished by our gift." As the rain fell upon the island, it soaked into the earth, and the landscape began to change. Tiny sprouts pushed through the soil, their delicate green shoots reaching for the sky. The air grew richer, filled with the earthy scent of new life. In the midst of this transformation, the droplet met an old, gnarled tree, its branches twisted and bare, yet its roots buried deep within the earth. "I have waited long for this moment," the tree said softly, its voice ancient. "Water has been scarce for so many seasons. Your touch is a blessing." The droplet, now part of the rain that nourished the land, felt a profound connection to the tree's struggle. It understood that, even in the harshest conditions, life waited patiently, hoping for a moment of renewal. Together, the rain nurtured the land, and soon, the island began to blossom. Flowers bloomed in vibrant colors, and the forest came alive with the hum of insects, the songs of birds, and the scurrying of small creatures. The droplet, now a part of this flourishing world, felt content. But the cycle was never meant to stop. After the rain had passed, the cloud began to rise again, this time carrying the droplet over vast plains. Where rivers meandered lazily through fields of golden grass. Here, the droplet saw the fruits of its labor: streams, lakes, and forests that had been born from the same waters that once passed through distant lands. The droplet could feel the connection between all these places, the thread that wove them together. The river, the forest, the island, they were all part of the same story, each piece contributing to the greater whole. As the cloud continued its journey, the droplet grew wise with the knowledge of its purpose. It realized that no matter where it fell, no matter what form it took, it was part of something greater, a cycle that would never cease, a journey that would continue forever. And so, the droplet whispered to the wind, "I am not just water. I am a bridge, a pathway. I carry the stories of the earth and the sky, of mountains and valleys, of life and death, of beginnings and endings. I am part of the eternal flow." The wind carried this message far and wide, whispering it to the stars, to the oceans, to the mountains. The droplet, now part of the cloud once more, felt at peace, knowing that its journey would continue for eternity. Through every cycle, every transformation, the droplet knew its essence would always remain the same: forever flowing, forever giving, forever alive. As the droplet continued its journey through the vast sky, it began to understand more fully that it was not just one small part of a cycle, but an embodiment of something far greater than itself. It was a vessel of life, a thread in an infinite tapestry of existence that connected every living being, every landscape, every moment. It floated higher into the sky, carried by the winds, until it joined a vast storm that was forming above a distant ocean. The storm was dark and swirling, a reminder of nature's power and unpredictability. But within the storm, the droplet felt a sense of purpose unlike anything it had known before. "This is where we are needed most," the cloud murmured, as thunder rumbled in the distance. "The storm will bring change. It will stir the earth, reshape the world, and cleanse the land." As the cloud gathered strength, the droplet felt itself drawn into the heart of the storm, where the winds howled and lightning crackled through the sky. There, it became part of the torrential rain that fell upon a forest, long parched from the heat of a summer that had lasted too long. The forest welcomed the rain with a great sigh, its leaves glistening as the water seeped into the thirsty ground. Flowers, once wilted and fragile, now stood tall, their petals opening wide to catch the rain. The roots of ancient trees drank deeply, their bark soaked and nourished. "You have returned," the forest whispered. "You are the answer to our longing." The droplet, now part of the rain, understood that its presence was more than just a momentary relief, it was a promise. It was the renewal of life itself, a force that allowed the world to continue, to evolve, to breathe again. As the storm subsided, the forest came alive with the sounds of new growth. Birds returned to their nests, insects buzzed through the air, and the ground, once cracked and dry, became soft and fertile. The droplet had played its part, but the cycle was far from over. As the storm clouds parted and the sky cleared, the droplet found itself drifting once again, this time over a vast desert. The land was harsh, its beauty raw and untamed, but beneath the sands, life waited hidden, patient, resilient. The droplet felt the pull of the earth beneath it, and as it fell, it landed softly in the deepest, most secret place in the desert. There, a tiny seed waited, buried beneath the dry soil. The droplet soaked into the earth, and for the first time, the seed felt the warmth and nourishment it needed to sprout. Life began to stir beneath the desert's surface, and the droplet, now part of the soil, understood that its journey was far from linear. It was a never-ending circle of beginnings and endings, a continuous process of creation and renewal. With each cycle, the droplet learned more about its role in the grand, interconnected web of existence. It was both the giver and the receiver, a part of every moment and yet part of something eternal. It understood that its essence could never be truly lost or destroyed. It would always return transformed, renewed, but always the same. And so, the droplet's journey continued, ever flowing, ever changing, always a part of the infinite dance of life. As the droplet's journey continued, it became part of a mighty river that stretched across a vast, wild landscape. The river was a force of nature, powerful, unstoppable, carving its way through mountains, valleys, and plains. The droplet, now part of this river, felt the pulse of the land beneath its flow. "This is the heart of the world," the river whispered, its voice filled with the wisdom of ages. "Here, we connect all things, every valley, every forest, every creature." The droplet flowed along with the river, witnessing its power as it swept through cities, towns, and villages. The people along its banks relied on the river for their survival. It carried water to their fields, helped power mills, and provided sustenance for generations. The droplet could feel the profound impact it had on the lives it touched. "You give us life," a fisherman said as he cast his net into the river. "Without you, we would have nothing." The droplet, now part of the river's vast current, felt honored to be part of this cycle of giving. It understood that the river was not just a body of water, it was a lifeline. It was a provider, a sustainer, a protector. And the droplet, as small as it was a vital part of it. The river continued its journey, carrying the droplet across forests and grasslands, under bridges and over waterfalls. The droplet experienced the joy and the pain of the world, watching as the river shaped the land, eroded mountains, and brought new life to the earth. Eventually, the river reached the ocean, its waters merging with the vast, infinite expanse of blue. The droplet, now part of the ocean, was carried out into the open sea. For a time, it felt lost in the immensity of the waters, but soon it realized that the ocean was not an end, it was a beginning. The ocean was a place of infinite possibility, where the rivers and streams of the world came together to form something greater. And the droplet, now part of the great ocean, understood that it was not just a small piece of water, it was part of the cycle of life itself, part of the grand story of the world. For in the ocean, the droplet could feel the ebb and flow of time, the rise and fall of tides, the gentle pull of the moon, and the pulse of life that surged within the depths. It was a place of rest, a place of birth, a place of death, and a place of rebirth. The droplet, now part of the ocean's eternal dance, knew that its journey had no end. It would rise again as vapor, carried by the wind to distant lands, where it would fall as rain, join a river, and continue its journey through the world. In this endless cycle, the droplet understood its place in the greater web of existence. It was not just water, it was a storyteller, a carrier of life, a part of the ever-changing, ever-flowing dance of the world. And so, the droplet whispered to the wind, to the ocean, to the sky, to the earth I am water, forever flowing, forever giving, and forever alive. My journey is the story of life, and it will never end. The droplet, now part of the vast ocean, felt the eternal rhythm of the waters. Time was a concept that no longer existed in the same way it once had. It was an endless dance, where moments blended together, and the beginning was always entwined with the end. One day, as the ocean whispered in its deep, soothing voice, the droplet rose once more into the sky. The heat of the sun gently lifted it, carrying it away from the ocean's embrace. The droplet felt weightless, suspended in the air, as it mingled with countless other droplets, becoming part of a towering cloud. In the cloud, the droplet found itself once again part of something much larger. The wind tugged at it, swirling it over mountains, valleys, and plains. It felt the cool air around it, the different temperatures and pressures that shaped its path. It knew it was on a new adventure, once again bound to change the world in ways it could not yet imagine. "Where are we going now?" the droplet asked, as it moved with the flow of the cloud. "We are going to the places that need us most," the cloud responded. "We will fall where we are needed, where life waits patiently for our return." The cloud drifted over a remote forest, its trees old and wise, their trunks thick with the years they had stood tall. Below, the forest floor was dry, the leaves brittle from the passing seasons. The ground cracked in places, showing the scars of years without rain. The droplet felt a surge of anticipation. It knew this was where it would fall, where it would give life once more. As the rain began to pour, the forest welcomed the droplets with open arms. The trees seemed to sigh with relief, their branches reaching up to catch the rain. The earth drank deeply, soaking in the moisture that had been absent for far too long. The droplet fell softly, touching the forest floor, where it joined a stream that had once been a trickle, now swollen with the fresh rain. The stream flowed through the forest, reviving the plants and animals that depended on it. "I have missed this," whispered an old oak tree, its roots drinking the water. "Your touch revives us, brings us back to life." The droplet, now part of the stream, could feel the pulse of the forest, its heart beating with the rhythm of the flowing water. It knew that this was a moment of renewal, of connection, and it felt its purpose fulfilled once again. As the stream continued its path through the forest, the droplet thought back on its journey from the mountaintop. Where it first sprang to life, to the river, to the ocean, and now to this forest. Each time it fell, each time it rose, it had played a part in sustaining life, in nurturing the earth. The stream grew wider as it flowed into a river, where its waters merged with those of other streams, forming a mighty current that powered through valleys and fields. The droplet felt the strength of the river, the power of all the waters that had come together. And it understood that it was part of something far greater than itself, a force that could shape the land and sustain life for generations to come. But the river's journey, like the droplets, was not bound by time. It flowed on, as part of an eternal cycle. And as the droplet passed from one form to another, from rain to river, from river to ocean, it knew that its essence would continue to live on, carried by the tides, rising with the clouds, falling as rain again. For in this eternal cycle, there was no true end. Only a beginning, always a beginning. The droplet was forever flowing, forever giving, forever alive. And so, the cycle continued, as the droplet joined the river joined the ocean, and the ocean sent its waters to the sky once more. As the droplet merged with the ocean's boundless waters once more, it could feel the pulse of the earth beneath its surface. The ocean, vast and timeless, spoke with the wisdom of centuries. It whispered the secrets of the world's most distant shores, the ancient currents, and the ebb and flow of countless cycles. You are part of all that has come before you, the ocean said. And part of all that will come after. You have touched the skies, the land, and the depths. You are water, endless ly giving, endlessly renewing. The droplet felt a deep peace settle within its core. It understood now that it was not just one moment, not just one journey, it was a part of a much larger, infinite cycle. Each rise, each fall, each journey across the land and sky was but one chapter in an unending story of life. As the droplet's essence swirled deeper into the ocean's embrace, it began to feel a new sense of belonging. The ocean was a place of union, where all waters came together, sharing their stories, their histories, and their wisdom. In this boundless expanse, the droplet was no longer small. It was part of something vast, something eternal. From the depths of the ocean, the droplet felt itself pulled upward once more by the sun. The warmth of its rays lifted the droplet into the air, this time rising higher, soaring across the sky with the winds. The journey had begun again. The droplet was now part of a cloud among thousands, yet still carrying within it the essence of the ocean, the river, the forest, and the earth. Where are we going this time? The droplet asked, as it moved with the cloud, soaring over lands it had never seen before. Every place we go is a new beginning, the cloud replied. Every place we fall will give life, shape the earth, and nourish the world in ways you cannot yet imagine. But remember, little droplet, each journey is both an end and a beginning. Every time you fall, you return to the world anew, bringing with you the memories and stories of all you've touched. And so, the droplet moved with the cloud, drifting over fields, mountains, and deserts, watching the world unfold beneath it. As the cloud traveled, it began to gather in strength, bringing with it the promise of rain, of new growth. The cloud finally came to rest above a dry plain, where the ground was cracked and weary. The air was thick with dust, and the land had longed for rain. The droplet felt the call of the earth below, urging it to fall, to give life once more. As the rain began, it fell in torrents, soaking into the thirsty soil, filling the cracks in the earth. The droplet, now one of many, felt its journey complete as it joined the streams that formed, flowing across the plain, bringing with it the life that had been long absent. "Welcome," said the earth. "You are the gift we've been waiting for." The plain, once barren and lifeless, began to bloom. Flowers burst forth from the soil, and the trees that had stood silently, waiting for this moment, began to stretch their branches toward the sky. The droplet could feel the joy of the land, the plants, and the animals, all coming alive with the gift of water. And yet, as the droplet flowed into a river, heading once again to the ocean, it understood something profound. Its journey was never truly a solitary one. It was part of something much larger, always connected to every other drop of water, every moment, every life. The river carried the droplet forward, but the droplet had already been part of so many lives, and had touched so many places, that its essence was now forever intertwined with the world. In this great cycle, the droplet had learned that no journey was ever wasted. Every fall, every rise, was part of a greater purpose. No matter how small or fleeting, every droplet had its place in the eternal flow of life. And as it merged with the ocean once more, the droplet whispered, "I am water. I am life. And my journey is never over. For I will rise again, fall again, and renew the world once more." The ocean, vast and eternal, cradled the droplet once more, and as the waters swirled beneath it, the droplet felt the vastness of its journey. It had traveled through the skies, caressed the earth, and been part of the rivers and streams that flowed through forests, meadows, and deserts. It had witnessed the beginning and end of countless seasons, each cycle a reminder of the unbroken thread that connected all things. The ocean whispered, you are not alone, little droplet. You are part of an eternal dance, a rhythm that flows through all of creation. Each time you fall, you will return, but you will never be the same. You are a part of the story of the world. The droplet felt its essence shift, its purpose deepening with each journey. It no longer saw itself as a single, fleeting drop. It was water endless, transformative, ever-giving. A part of the ocean, the sky, the land, the plants, and the creatures. As the sun warmed the ocean's surface, the droplet rose once more, carried up into the sky with the wind. It moved higher and higher, blending with other droplets, forming a cloud that drifted across the vast, open sky. From the cloud, the droplet looked down upon the world below. Mountains, rivers, deserts, and oceans each place a part of the great cycle of life. The droplet felt a deep connection to all the places it had touched. It had been part of the forests, the meadows, the deserts, the oceans, and the rivers. It had nourished the earth, quenched the thirst of creatures, and given life to the plants. In its many forms, it had shaped the world and been shaped by it in turn. Where do we go now? The droplet asked, now part of the cloud, drifting across the sky. The cloud answered, wherever we are needed, we will go. We will give life to the earth, nourish the land, and carry the stories of the world. Every place we fall is a new beginning, a new chapter in the story of life. And so, the cloud journeyed, passing over distant lands and unknown places. It moved across the plains, the mountains, the oceans, and the forests. Always seeking to give life, to renew the earth, to bring the gift of water where it was needed most. As the cloud gathered strength and began to rain, the droplet fell once again, landing softly on the earth. It joined a stream, which flowed through a valley filled with green, lush vegetation. The earth, so long thirsty, drank deeply from the rain, and life began to stir once more. The droplet, now part of the stream, could feel the pulse of the valley, its heart beating with the rhythm of the flowing water. It was not just water, it was life itself, flowing through the land, sustaining everything in its path. As the stream wound its way toward the river, the droplet knew that it was not just a single drop. It was part of something much larger, a cycle that stretched through time and space, connecting all of life, binding all things together. Each journey, each fall, each rise was part of the grand design, a never-ending cycle that nurtured and sustained the world. The droplet merged with the river, flowing toward the ocean, and once again, it felt the embrace of the vast waters. It had come full circle, but the journey was far from over. For in the ocean, the droplet would rise again, fall again, and begin a new chapter in the eternal story of life. I am water, the droplet whispered, and I will flow forever, carrying life, shaping the world, and becoming part of the endless cycle. And so, as the ocean roared, the droplet rose once more into the sky, and the cycle began again. As the droplet rose again from the ocean, it felt the call of the sky, the pull of the wind, and the warmth of the sun. The world below, vast and diverse, awaited its return. Every time it rose, every time it fell, the droplet knew that it was part of something greater, a force that transcended the moment, a rhythm that shaped the world. It was a breath in the vastness of life, a heartbeat that echoed in the land, the sea, and the sky. This time, the droplet did not ask where it was going. It had learned that the journey was not about the destination but about the transformation that occurred along the way. Each path was different, yet all were the same, leading to the unbroken cycle of life. The droplet joined a cloud high above the world, its essence mingling with countless others. Together, they swirled in the sky, drifting over mountains, forests, and rivers. The cloud carried them to a remote land, a quiet valley that had not known rain for many seasons. The earth was dry, cracked, and waiting for the blessing of water. As the first drops of rain began to fall, the valley sighed with relief. The earth drank eagerly, soaking up the water, and the plants began to stretch their leaves toward the sky. The droplet, now part of the rainfall, could feel the energy in the land as it awakened. The earth had been waiting for this moment, and now, with the return of water, life began to stir. "Welcome," whispered the valley. "Your touch has brought us back to life." The droplet flowed through the valley, joining the streams that wound their way through the landscape. The waters surged, carrying the gift of life to all who needed it. As it flowed, the droplet felt the pulse of the valley, the heartbeat of the plants, the animals, and the earth itself. It was part of the land's rejuvenation, and the land, in turn, was a part of it. The droplet continued its journey, flowing from the streams into the river, which grew wider and deeper as it moved across the land. The river carried the droplet to a great lake, where its waters joined those of countless other streams, rivers, and rainfalls. Together, they formed a vast, shimmering expanse, a place of stillness and reflection. Here, the droplet paused, feeling its journey, its transformation, and its purpose all come together. In the stillness of the lake, the droplet gazed upon its reflection. It saw not just a single drop, but the entire world: the mountains, the forests, the rivers, and the skies. It saw the lives it had touched, the moments it had shaped, and the cycle that had carried it through time and space. The droplet understood now that it was both the journey and the destination, the giver and the receiver, the water and the life. "You are part of all that is," the lake whispered, its waters deep and wise. "Every drop matters, every journey counts, and every life is connected. You are not alone. You never were." The droplet, now part of the lake's tranquil waters, felt at peace. It had touched so many places, so many lives. And yet, it knew that its journey was far from over. It was water, forever flowing, forever giving, forever alive. As the sun rose over the horizon, casting golden light upon the lake, the droplet felt the pull of the sky once more. The wind beckoned, and the sun's warmth lifted the droplet from the lake, sending it back into the sky. It rose, joined by other droplets, becoming part of a new cloud that drifted toward the mountains. And so, the journey began again, an endless cycle of transformation, renewal, and connection. As the droplet soared higher into the sky, it became one with the cloud, feeling the vastness of the world beneath it. The earth below, once again, seemed distant and small, but as it looked down, the droplet saw the threads of life. It had touched the rivers it had flowed through, the forests it had nourished, the creatures it had helped to sustain. It felt both a part of everything and yet separate, a small drop in a boundless sea, always moving, always changing. "I am but one drop," the droplet thought. "Yet I am all water, all life." As the cloud drifted over a sprawling desert, the droplet felt the heat of the earth below, parched and yearning for relief. The land was empty, save for the wind that swept across the dunes, carrying with it the promise of rain. The droplet could feel the thirst of the desert, the longing for water that would bring life once again. It knew, as part of the cloud, it would answer that call. The cloud released its burden, and the droplet fell, touching the dry sand, feeling the earth absorb it greedily. The wind, now charged with the scent of rain, carried the message far and wide. Slowly, the desert began to change. The sand, once barren, began to hold the moisture, and tiny green shoots pushed through the cracks. The heat softened, replaced by a cool, refreshing breeze. "I have brought life to the desert," the droplet realized. "And in doing so, I have fulfilled my purpose." But the droplet knew that it was not just the desert it had nurtured. It had been part of a larger story, a story that had no beginning and no end, a story of water that had been flowing for as long as time itself. It was a story of change, of giving, of taking, of becoming. The droplet could feel the pulse of the earth beneath it, a pulse that was both timeless and fleeting. In that moment, it understood that it was both a beginning and an end. Its journey was not just a cycle, it was a story, told and retold through the ages, a tale of life, death, and rebirth. It was a thread woven through the tapestry of existence, joining all things together. As the rain fell upon the desert, the droplet felt its essence merge with the land, the air, and the sky. It had given life, but it had also received it. It had been shaped by the earth and the oceans, carried by the winds, and embraced by the clouds. It was, in its simplest form, water. But in its deepest truth, it was much more. I am water, the droplet whispered. I am the earth, the sky, the rivers, the oceans, the winds. I am both the giver and the receiver. I am life, and I am the story of life itself. The sun began to set over the desert, casting a warm glow over the now blooming land. The droplet, now part of the earth, knew that its time in this form was coming to an end. But the journey was far from over. The earth would return the water to the sky, and the cycle would begin again. In the quiet stillness of the desert, the droplet understood that it was never truly separate from the world. It was always a part of it, always connected, always flowing. And so, as the last light of day dipped below the horizon, the droplet began to rise once more, carried by the wind into the vast sky, ready to begin its journey again. Today's story ends here. See you later.